awakening. Congratulations. When you start hating your life, be happy, because that's the first step to awakening. When you start looking around at the world and at your life, and you start realizing that nothing is what you want it to be. You're not living the life that you want anymore. That's the awakening. Congratulations. When you start hating your life, be happy, because that's the first step to awakening. Next, you'll feel all the garbage, all the stuff you've hated, all the stuff you pushed away, all the parts of yourself that you've rejected, every part in someone else that's a mirror for you that you've hated. Everything starts coming up, and this is when we just become completely psycho. It's part of the process. You become pretty much psycho, bipolar, lots of mental issues, lots of emotional issues, lots of physical ailments. It's a physical body process too. It's not just a spiritual body. When we awaken into the 4D, we're still in separation consciousness. This is where, in 3D and 4D paradigms, the physical world we live in, we experience life in duality, which is opposites. We experience life from opposite ends of the spectrum. Male, female, dark, light, good, bad. Everything is opposites. And this is just the way that we're programmed, the way that we're programmed to be. This is how this paradigm, this game works for us to teach us lessons. You're swinging from one end of the spectrum to the other, back and forth, back and forth. The whole point is to be in the center, which is the calm, balanced state of infinicy, of being infinite. But when we're awakening, all we feel is all of the blockages, all of the limitations we have. And that's part of it. You have to clear away all of this old stuff, all these old wounds. So every time something happens to us, so say we get a wound, an accident, we have abuse happen, we have some type of shock or trauma happen. What happens is that aspect of us gets walled off. So we're whole. When something happens, a part of us gets walled off. There's now a cord, a wormhole, whatever you want to call it, pushing energy out. So now this aspect of us is now existing outside of our light. It's now existing separate from us. So it starts working against us. This is how people have these aspects of themselves that they hate. And that's what happens. We hate these parts of ourselves. We reject them. We're just sick of them. We walk away from them. We push them away. But these are parts of ourselves we need to heal. And this is what happens with the awakening, the 4D awakening process. You start having to heal all these aspects of yourself that have been walled off from the light, separated from your source, separated from love. Because when something's separated from love, when something's pushed away, separated from the whole, it works against the whole. It becomes its own little entity, whatever we want to call these demons, entities, spirits, archons, whatever people have these words for. They work against us because they've been separated from us. So again, it's a part of you. All of these are aspects of yourself. We all are made up of millions, trillions, billions, whatever you want to say, of different soul aspects, different parts of ourselves, different aspects of our soul. We're not just one soul. So every time that a little piece of you gets walled off, and let's say for example you had a trauma, so you have a wound, something runs away, it can't handle it, it's now existing outside of yourself. It's still attached to you, but it's now separated from the light. And so what happens, it's coming, and it's always coming into your field, affecting you. It's coming and being that little part of you that's always, goes on a rampage, goes on a rage. It might be a part of yourself that comes and just makes you feel like you're nothing every time. That little voice in your head telling you you're nothing, telling you you're little. It could be anything. Again, I'll talk about all these different things in different videos. But this little part of yourself will wreak havoc in your life. It's because it is trying to be healed. That is the biggest point of it. But it will continue to wreak havoc in your life because it is separated from the whole. You need to love this part of yourself. Again, what happens? We reject it, we hate it, we're embarrassed by it, this part of ourselves. So we push it away even more and create a bigger blockage, pushing it away even more from the light, hating it even more, creating an even bigger blockage. So again, I'll talk about all these different things later. But just know when you're going through the ascension process, all of these things are coming up into your awareness. Because what happens is you're no longer a blocked, essentially unawakened person that just goes through life like a robot, controlled by programs completely. Now you have some consciousness that's awakened. So all of these aspects of yourself are becoming so vivid, so in your face, coming up to be healed. Again, we feel like there are these demons attacking us. There are these entities, they're this psychic attack. It's ourselves. It's your own stuff. Again, all the videos. But what happens with the awakening is we exist in such a duality, extremes of the spectrum, that it becomes so immense. We go on these tangents where 1 second we're crying uncontrollably, the next second we're having a rage, the next second we're feeling fine, the next second we feel irritated by something. It's just our emotions are all over the place. It's because you're literally entering all of these soul aspects that are all walled off. So you're acting from the point of that aspect, that entity, which is your own soul aspect. So you start acting from that aspect of yourself. What happens? You are separated from your source, from your light, from your soul, from your heart, and you start becoming that entity because that's a part of you. So this is why people start having these flip outs. Or start, people start, you always have this part of yourself or these parts of yourself that are just trying to take away your greatness, that are trying to, self-sabotage, stuff like that. Again, I'll explain later all these things. But what happens is, after we clear through all this stuff, we work on all this stuff, we start loving these parts of ourselves. You stop pushing these parts of ourselves away. You start loving all of these aspects. You start bringing them back into the center, loving them, bringing them back into light. Once you love something, it can no longer have power over you. So this is why when we awaken and we start existing in 4D, it's just chaos, because all these aspects are coming out to be healed. So we're just all over the place. This is why people start having these multiple personality disorders, these bipolar aspects. This is why right now everyone has these mental issues, and everyone's numbing these issues, which are natural ways of healing. We're numbing them with pills, drugs. Pharmaceutical companies are just coming in, and doctors are just prescribing any old antidepressant for this and that. It's all part of the process, and all those drugs have to go for you to feel these aspects. You can no longer numb yourself, because if you numb yourself, you're just pushing that aspect of yourself further away, and it's becoming stronger. It will come up with a vengeance later on. So get off those meds, get off those drugs, stop taking those pills, stop drinking, stop doing drugs, because all that's doing is numbing ourselves. Again, we numb ourselves with many ways, shopping, overworking, everything is filling the void being all of these aspects that have been pushed off, and in its place is a void. We need to bring these aspects back into our center, into our heart, love them, and all of this stuff will start going away. All of these mental issues, all of these addictions, these old programs, old ways, old patterns. So what happens? We start existing in our heart, right? When you exist in your heart, that's your power place. All your energy goes in your heart, and you start existing from the complete center point, the 0 point field. I'll talk about all these things later, but when you exist in the 0 point field of your heart, that is your place of power. That is where you're the center of the universe. And you start being able to bring down higher timelines from above without being sucked into all these timelines and cords and things going on around you in the world around us that is a very low vibrational world right now. Instead, you're able to be in your heart. You pull down a higher reality. It's literally a fact. Again, I didn't believe any of this stuff until I started going through it. So I'll try to be explaining all these things in detail later on. But during this process of awakening into ascension, into 5D, and going beyond that, all these different things have to happen. We have to start being by ourselves a lot. We have to spend a lot of time in nature. We have to be grounding ourselves, grounding away these energies, loving ourselves, getting healings, meditating, just being completely loving ourselves instead of constantly worrying about filling ourselves with things. We have to remove all the things, simplify our lives, remove the people that are no longer serving our greatest life, remove the friends, the family members, the jobs, anything, all the patterns, the routines, anything that's getting in the way of you healing and loving yourself fully and giving yourself what you need and existing in your heart needs to go. And this is the hermit stage. We all go through this. We lose all these friends. We start thinking that we're going through life alone. No one understands us. It's all part of the process. So don't worry. You'll get past that. And you'll start becoming a master. So again, all these things will be talked about later. But when you start going in your heart, you start realizing you are able to control yourself. No more stories, excuses, limitations telling you that you're not good enough. All these reasons why you can't do something, all these excuses about, oh, well, I have this disease, I can't do something, or I have this problem. All of those are stories you tell yourself. So you have an excuse not to be in your own power. So you start releasing all those stories, all those reasons why you're pushing away your own power. When you bring all your power, you heal all these aspects of yourself back into the 0 point field, you are now in a place of complete control of your own reality. You become the creator of your own reality. Literally, you will create a higher reality based on your dreams, the dream in your heart that you've forgotten. Again, it all starts with you going in your heart, having self-love, having understanding, compassion, and being grateful for everything that's happening to you, instead of giving away your power and being the victim and blaming everyone else. Take back your ownership of everything, be grateful, and you will unify into the unified state of oneness and be your own God creator being. So we'll see you again on Earth 1111. We'll talk about all these different aspects in detail. Thank you.